afternoon, everybody. Eric with American Business Systems. I hope you're ready for an exciting hour. Patrick and I are going to be talking to you about the time to start a home-based business in medical billing is now. And we're going to show you really the trends, what's going on, why it's important to get in something involved like this now, for not only for yourself, but then obviously also for the doctors. Again, my name is Eric Auger. Do several different things here. You could probably call me the chief window washer by this time, because there's so many things that I get tasked to do with Patrick, but it's so much fun. And one of those fun things is spending every Wednesday afternoon with you as you're trying to do your due diligence and trying to make your decisions and figure out what home-based business is going to be best for you. And we sure hope that you choose American Business Systems. American Business Systems has several, as you can see here, offerings that you can offer to a doctor. Everything from the billing to electronic medical records to coding services to document management services, collections services, way and stay in touch with their patients, anything from marketing to, again, like I said, processing their claims. And we're going to share with you, really for the very first time on any of our live prospect webinars, where that we just added a new service that we'll be talking with you about. Now, we've made it mention of it the last couple of weeks, but officially just being able to share it with you today. Patrick and Linda started this business back in early 1994. Obviously, they started this sooner than that because they were actually doing billing prior to all of that, but it's grown into what we know as the largest network of certified medical revenue managers. And that's why we're hoping to have you on board with us as well as we kind of tackle this whole thing in the healthcare industry. You can see doctors are struggling, and they're probably struggling for a reason, because they did not, prior to the coronavirus, again, just like all of us, sometimes we don't know that doctors live paycheck to paycheck, and there's a reason why, and that is because they didn't get their coding done properly or their claims out the door properly. But we're going to be talking again with Patrick. He's going to be joining us. He is the best-selling author. He's got some books here that he has authored. One of these, The New Thriving Medical Practice, we're going to be sharing with you about of how you can be able to utilize that in your marketing campaigns. He is also a contributing author to the editorial board, or for the editorial board for Billing and Coding Advantage magazine. And then, Patrick, look, without any further ado, let's get started here.
All right. Well, folks, if you're here to learn how to start a home-based business, this is one you should seriously consider. Now, we have these webinars every Wednesday, and have for what, Eric? Last 12 years that we've done these on Wednesdays, just to inform you, hopefully entertain you somewhat, and just show you what this business is all about, to make you educated enough to make your own decision, because it is up to you, right? We know it's not for everybody, but as you attend these webinars and consider what we have to offer, you'll see why so many of our licensees are so successful, especially right now, huh, Eric?
You bet. Yeah, they're growing and sustaining. There's, a lot of people are out of work. Our licensees that are doing billing for doctors, they're not out of work. Matter of fact, they're growing, and we'll even see today how even some of our newer licensees are getting new clients right smack dab in the middle of the coronavirus.
Right. Yeah. I interviewed one just last week, week before?
Right.
That was just basically telling us that he was just very, very busy right now. And again, because they don't have to visit the doctor's office, the office is in their home. The doctor doesn't come to their home, of course. They don't care where you work nowadays, as long as you can get the work done. So, right. Eric, I had a picture I threw in there of my family back in 1987, because I wanted people to see that it really is a real family business. That's, well, you can tell it's several years back. My hair is dark back there, and that's my wife Linda in the middle. My son Adam is to her right, and then right in front of us there is Sarah, our daughter. So you're looking at the Phillips family that started this. Well, we started the billing in 1987 and got to the point in 1994 where people were asking us how we started making money and never left the house, and we're buying new cars and new home and so forth. And we just said, well, look, we can teach you how to do that. So I put together a package, including the training materials and the marketing materials, all the tools that people need to get this business started. Eric, I wished I had had my tools back when I started, because I spent a lot of time and money just trying to figure this out.
Yes, absolutely. Folks, let me remind you of two things. Number one, everybody should know where the question box is. So at any time during the webinar, feel free to type in a question, especially if we hit a topic that you're wanting to know some more information on. And then also, you'll look over there in the handouts. If you want to go ahead and download that PDF, you can kind of follow along with us, make some notes on that if you want to. So feel free to do that, and we'll remind you about that also towards the end of the webinar. Patrick, whenever I was pulling this whole webinar together for today, the question really came to me is, why would anyone start a business in the middle of a crisis?
Boy, that's a great question. I'm sure a lot
Yeah.
of people that are on here today are wondering, why would I start a business right now when we're in the middle of one of the biggest crises that's ever hit the United States? Well, it's because sometimes crisis offers opportunity. And just like it did back in 2008 when Obamacare came along, our business boomed because, again, it brought attention to the fact that healthcare is a solid industry that will always be here, always be around, and the doctors will always need help getting their money.
Yeah. Well, I was trying to dig for articles and ask, who the experts are out in their field. Folks, you can see this. We just pulled this. It was April the 15th, so just a couple of days ago. And Tim Chin, the CEO of what we heard of the Nerd Wallet. Everybody goes, that commercial, nerds. You hear that all the time. And then, well, this is the guy. And, he started his business right smack dab in the worst part of anybody thinking about starting a business. And, whether he says, right now they may be weathering the coronavirus storm just like any other business, but he is still optimistic. He says the real silver lining here is that you can make it. And Chin believes that there is opportunities for the next generation of entrepreneurs. Now is the best time to ever build a company.
Now let that sink in, folks. Look at the date on that. It's real tiny, but if you look carefully, this was just like a day or two ago, right, Eric? Maybe a week ago.
Absolutely. Just last week.
Now is the best time ever to build a company. Let that sink in, folks, as you watch this webinar. So if you're looking for a business that you can start working from home, wait till you see all the advantages. Eric, we got a lot to cover here. Let's move on.
Absolutely.
If you just let me keep talking, I'll just keep talking.
Yep. Everybody knows Mark Cuban, and he says, again, it's basically the same thing. And this was dated, I don't even know where the date is. I should have had the date on there, but I just pulled this just yesterday. But he himself, again, says, look, it takes muscle to go out there and build a business, but what you're going to want to do is build a business now.
Yeah. Folks, there's no better time to start a home-based business than right now, obviously, because you are able to work from home and don't have to contact and meet directly with people. Now, this will be over, I think, Eric. I mean, I'm just listening to what it says on the news and so forth in the press conferences. It looks like in another month, maybe two, by that time, people who get into this business will have gone through their training, our online one-on-one training with our instructors. They'll have graduated, they've gotten their certification as a certified medical revenue manager, and they're out and ready to, just boom. This, again, is a perfect timing for people if you're thinking about starting a business.
Well, if you think about it right now, Patrick, this is the first time I think ever in the United States. And if you can kind of think of what I'm about to say here. So everybody, I know you may be surfing the net out there, so just listen to what I have to say. Think of this. This is the first time ever in the United States that I think you and I can ever remember throughout any business history that we can find, that the playing field, once this thing gets lifted, it's all even again. Never is there a time in a business momentum where everybody's going to be playing from the same level ground. So if you thought your competition was ahead of you, they're going to be in the same starting position as where you might find yourself. And what Patrick just said, you just got your training done and you're launched to ready to go out there with a momentum that, again, some of the other people may not have. So it's very important to know that that's just about to happen.
Good. Well, and let's see what some of the business trends are in the middle of a crisis, folks. One of the big business trends, if you think about it, is the baby boomers. there are a lot of, in fact, there's 10,000 baby boomers that retire every day in the United States, Eric. And of course, we know that older folks, of course, go to the doctor more. They have more parts that stop working. They have to go see the doctor more. And I can testify to that, can't you, Eric?
Well, I can, since 1960s is up here. I've just fallen into that category. So
Yeah,
I'm in the baby boomer age there.
right. And so
I
they
mean,
have more time, they have more money, and of course, they're having to go to the doctor more often. So, folks, again, timing wise, you could not be at a better place to start a business like this. And Eric, this whole thing now brings up that topic of telehealth, doesn't it?
yeah, I'm telling you, folks, if you're watching the trend, I'm sure everybody, at least we could probably find one person on the webinar today that has probably already had a telehealth visit. And you probably had that visit with your doctor via a Zoom meeting or through FaceTime or Google Hangouts or something like that. Folks, that's just because the government says, hey, you can use whatever platform you need to use right now, because the doctors, Patrick, were just not ready
No.
for what we know as a telehealth visit.
And yet we've had telehealth built into our platform, our cloud-based billing platform, for at least 8 years.
Right.
So it's not like it's brand new technology, but again, to the doctors, they just weren't prepared. Now, if you're not sure what that's all about, I think our next slide, Eric, shows people that it's just sitting at a computer, laptop, even on your phone, and just visiting with your doctor. It can be just as profitable just for both of you as it is in person, unless the doctor needs to personally examine some part of you. Now, a lot of what they do, looking in your ears and mouth and so forth, is just so they can, raise the price on your visit. They don't have to do those physical things. And yet now, Eric, isn't there technology available through your iPhone and other phones to connect with the doctor and send the doctor information?
You're right. Yeah, there's so many new things that are coming on board. Everything from, obviously, being able to see your doctor from your iPhone or Android phone or your tablets or anything, to Bluetooth type of devices. So you got Bluetooth stethoscopes that are out there, and Bluetooth blood pressure cuffs that are out there. And that's just, Patrick, we've discussed this. We've been discussing this for the last month now. Medicine as we know it, healthcare as we know it, is completely changing. It's right in the middle of the biggest change I think we've ever seen. Telehealth is right smack dab into it. We see this. This was posted just yesterday, April the 21st, by this newspaper here. And you go, although most primary care and urgent care offices remain open to essential patients, there has been an increase in the use of telehealth services as it become preferred method for providers to see patients to keep themselves and their staff and community members safe from the spread of COVID-19. And you can see down here, it's been a 60% increase with hospitals and nursing homes. So what does that relate back to you? Well, folks, these are grand opportunities. Now, if you were to start in a business with other business opportunities in medical billing, I don't believe they've got the service level of what we have right here with telehealth. Patrick's already said we've already been having that baked into our billing system already for 8+ years, but we've even added an additional information about telehealth. Then this one right here, this one was taken just again yesterday, Patrick. I mean, here we go. Telehealth boom. Video chat doctor's visits are the new normal.
It is the normal. In fact, what you're seeing right here on your screen, if you're looking at your screen right now, is a video of me and Eric. This is live. And so I could be the doctor, Eric could be the patient, or vice versa. And we're actually having a discussion. The great thing is, folks, that you can actually show the doctor reports. You can send things virtually over the internet to the doctor while you're talking to them. It's just a fantastic technology. The doctors just haven't taken advantage of it like they could have because they didn't get paid on some of those visits. Now they're getting paid, aren't they, Eric?
Yes, yeah, and they're getting paid very well on that. And folks, if you think about it, it's actually almost like adding a virtual examining room to their practice. And
Yeah.
that's important because there are a lot of doctors that obviously they can't even make it in, but they're being able to see their patients. But it's going to expand from there, and we're happy to announce that we've added telehealth as a separate component from EMRX that you can see down there, because that's already inside of EMRX. But we also have a telehealth component, a telehealth service that has been added to the entire suite of the ABS licensee group. So folks, just think of it, 2 to 3 weeks ago, what we had to offer you was what you saw down there in the flyers there. Folks, you're seeing it, you're seeing history being made right now, because we are adding a new service that is for you, and we're not going up on price. It's going in right smack dab with everything else. And so, Patrick, let me first of all, for all the licensees, they tell you thank you. You've seen those emails already coming into you from licensees, and thank you for adding this service.
Well, and folks, all of the services that you're looking at there on the screen were added one at a time as the need came up. In other words, a licensee might have come to us and said, hey, the doctor wants to know, what can I do to protect myself against Medicare audits, for example. So we created Audit Guard for that. And every time we add a new service for our licensees, folks, there is no extra cost. We'll cover that in a little bit more detail here. But folks, once you've paid our licensing fee of $27,990, or about $28,000 basically, you don't ever pay us ever again for any of the new services that we introduce. Eric, we've got a little short 1-minute video that I want to play.
What if you could streamline the communication between patients, their preferred doctors, specialists, pharmacists, and more? For patients, put your doctor right on your smartphone. Need to make a tele-appointment? Just a few taps. When it's time, your doctor appears on your phone to talk privately and at your convenience. Meets the same HIPAA privacy standards as doctors' offices. For physicians, is a time-efficient way to stay in touch with patients. In just a few minutes, you can see a patient who might just need a prescription or follow up with one you're worried about. It's like adding another exam room, but without the cost. For pharmacists, puts a doctor's office in your store. When a patient needs a refill or medical care, vital signs are taken and relayed to the doctor through the call. In a few minutes, the doctor sees the patient via your computer and can prescribe. Schools use them to take better care of their students by connecting them to their doctors and parents, all on the same call and without anyone having to leave their office. The whole idea is to make healthcare more personal and more convenient. It connects everybody: patients, physicians, pharmacists, schools, and employers. Because healthy relationships are good for you.
I told you right before we got on today that I was actually assisting one of our licensees already that was promoting this, and he clearly has said, Eric, I would have not had the opportunity without this service. I would have never ever gotten my foot in the door with these groups. And folks, this is in the right smack dab in the middle of the COVID-19 issue. So there was no cold calling. There was nothing out there. It was he got it out there on his social media. He started engaging with the people, because again, the physicians, they're still looking for a solid platform. And again, Patrick, what we're seeing here, and obviously he hadn't even talked to him about doing their billing yet, but that started coming up today during the call. And imagine you're getting, the guy could just quit at that point. 65 providers. I mean, it's amazing. Oh, you're muted.
Can you skip to that article from Medical Economics? Look at this headline, folks. A survey showed that private practices turned to telemedicine to offset the coronavirus dip. You see, people don't want to come into the doctor's office personally, but they'll get on a telehealth call with a doctor. And so it's helped doctors tremendously so far. And folks, this will be the future. You'll see that this is not going to go away. Doctors, once they start using this, and patients, they'll be hooked on it. So it'll be a permanent part of our offering through our licensees.
Yeah, and folks, you're entering at an incredible time. If you're thinking about a home-based business and it's in the medical field, I think everybody can see. You just turn on any TV, any channel, and you're going to hear something about healthcare.
Yeah. And
right now we hear it as bad because obviously we as a nation are going through this, but it's through these disruptions, Patrick, and you and I have talked about that several times, that some of the biggest opportunities for entrepreneurs are right smack dab in a crisis. So
Yes.
this is a great opportunity.
Yeah. And look at this next little chart here that we found on home-based businesses. It says new home-based businesses created. Look at that, 7,000, what is that, 855 every day in the United States are created. So folks, if you're looking to start a business, home-based is the only way to go. Nowadays, people could care less whether you work from home or not. In fact, as you can see, a lot of people who now work at home were working in offices. And again, businesses don't care as long as the business gets done. And Eric, I would say for our licensees, we do have a small percentage of them that open up offices and hire employees and so forth. But that's only because they want to have everything under their control in one spot and so forth. We've had people hire people like our instructor, Cynthia, who still has not got a local office where she puts people in to do the billing. She works with them virtually. They're working from their home, and she's managing that through our cloud-based system. So it's the future. The future is now.
They have to have a certification of some sort, a license to do business in their community, but not necessarily one for medical billing.
Yeah, there's no national license or anything like that. Look at this quote I got from Dave Ramsey. Dave Ramsey is a financial advisor. I just thought it was interesting that he basically says, that there's something that you could do, of course, that you don't want to do, and that's to get a second job. But what you need to do is start your own business. So, folks, there's advice right there from somebody who works with people who are trying to work through their financial situation.
Remember, folks, that during these times of opportunities, what we call them disruptions, the entrepreneurs out there, the Mark Cubans and the Tim Chins that are out there, they're looking, okay, where is the opportunity? And this is a perfect time. And say it or not, right now, some of you may have been furloughed. You may have maybe lost your job. Maybe they've given you a severance package right now. This really is the perfect time for you to be really thinking hard. What am I going to do? Am I going to return to a job that if this happens again, that I'm going to be going through the same thing? Take advantage of your time, your life right now, and make the best that you can make with it right now.
Here's a great question from Judith. She says, do you have this business partnered with two people? Not sure that that's aimed at us, of course. It is a family business, so we do have people in my family that are involved in the business. But for you, Judith, you can have as many partners as you want. In fact, Eric, we've had licensees come in with 2 or 3 other partners. They all invested a certain amount of the money towards the license fee. And of course, we let them all go through the training. There's really no limits to that other than the fact that we want you to be on the same training so that our live instructor who's doing that training, of course, is just spending that 1.5 hours with each group of people. So you could have a dozen people on there if you wanted to. Yeah.
Well, Patrick,
okay, so Eric, I put this up here because I do have this question asked from time to time.
Right.
Is this business real or is it a scam? So the best way I knew to do that is to show you that Entrepreneur Magazine has been around for, 100 years or so, and they actually publish a book. That's the latest issue of Entrepreneur right there, Eric, that you can go online and find. But their book is published called Start Your Own Medical Claims Billing Service. So folks, let me give you some quotes from this book. Here's the quote. The market for medical claims billing is growing exponentially with legions of providers, that's doctors, and an ever-expanding patient pool. Healthcare industry spending is expected to grow by 5.8% each year through 2024. Eric, I bet it's more than that now. I bet it's going to be a booming industry now.
You bet. And here's the money part of it.
Yeah, by the healthcare spend by then, that's supposed to say then, I forgot to put the N on the. Healthcare spending will total $5.43 trillion and account for 19.6% of the gross domestic product. Folks, think about that. That's almost 20% of our entire domestic product. So it's lots of money is what that's saying. That if you're going to get in an industry that has money in it, this is one of them. So let there be no doubt, it goes on to say, healthcare is big business and its growth shows no signs of slowing. This makes it the perfect time to start your own medical claims billing service. Well, there it is, folks, from the experts, from the authorities, Entrepreneur Magazine. We do have a database available to us and that we make available to our licensees, of course, that has all of the doctors in the whole United States, all the private practice doctors, all the doctors associated with the hospitals and groups. We have all that information for those who get involved in our business right now. For now, I don't know how long this is going to go on, but Eric, we've started giving the people in the area code, the zip code, or whatever area they want, and the area that they're in, all of that data from those doctors. So that's a part of our package now that we don't even talk about a whole lot, but we do have contact information, addresses, emails, phones, the office manager, how big the practice is, all sorts of information that we can give to people so they can do their own research on that themselves.
Okay, so let's move on to the advantages of a home-based business. Now, this is kind of stepping out of what we've been talking about. We've been talking about basically the trend. Why would anybody want to get involved in it right now? But let's just simply talk about, Patrick, just the advantages of having a home-based business.
Yeah, well, the first one that I thought of course, was personal freedom. Folks, imagine the average person spends 348 hours a year just commuting. Now, you may be listening to the weather or news or music or whatever while you're going, but folks, you don't have to waste that time. Think about how much productive time that is that you're wasting. When I used to work from, well, I'm still working from home here, but when my wife was doing the billing, I'd get up in the morning and basically just stumble upstairs to my office. It took me 2 minutes to get up there with my cup of coffee. But there's no bosses to respond to and have to answer to, no dress code. Eric, it's great doing these webinars because people don't know how we're dressed below the waist, right? We can be as comfortable as we want to be here in our swimsuit if we want to.
Right.
No set work hours. No office politics. It's just wonderful, folks. Once you start working from home, believe me, you will never go back. Eric, I think there's going to be a big problem with employers trying to get people to come back in the office.
I agree. I think you're going to have some people that are going to rebel and say, hey, this thing from working from home is pretty nice.
Yeah. And then, of course, you get to keep more of your own money, folks. You save on gas, on buying lunches, clothing allowance for yourself, gifts for people at the office, and donations. There's all kinds of money that just goes down the tube, car upkeep and so forth. You don't have to worry about that now, folks. That money is yours. If you want to make more money in your own business, you do what this guy's doing right here. You look yourself in the mirror and you say, you know what, you need to do, work a little bit harder. And that's how you give yourself a raise.
Yes.
And then increased opportunity. Having your own business, folks, you have all kinds of things open up to you. Eric, as you know, we've had licensees branch into all sorts of other home-based business ideas. Once they've got one business going, they've got the time and the energy, the resources, and the knowledge and the experience to look into other things. We offer, of course, all sorts of other revenue streams to our licensees, all optional, of course, but if they want to, they can offer all kinds of services.
Sure.
Then there's less risk. Hey, Eric, you know franchises are a huge risk because not all of them are successful. Believe me, people don't realize there's a failure rate for franchises, and there's all kinds of hoops that you have to go through. There's royalties that you have to pay back to them every month. You have to buy their equipment, their branded materials, and so forth. It's just ridiculous, all the risk that's there. You don't have that with a business opportunity that's working from home. And then, Eric, my favorite was the tax advantages. Look, here's a book that's out on Amazon that you can find right now, How to Pay Zero Taxes, and do it legally, by the way, following all the rules and regulations that the IRS has set out. Inside this book, from the table of contents, I grabbed some of the tax advantages. Look at all the things that you can deduct for potentially in your own business. Now, you'd want to check with your own CPA on this, folks, but look at all the things that you can take off now from your taxes. The average family can save over $5,000 a year just deducting the things that you would normally be spending money on anyway. Interest, theft losses, casualty, contributions of all kinds, insurance, travel expenses, meals, gifts, all kinds of things. So, folks, it's a wonderful way to keep more of your hard-earned money and not give it back to the government. Then, of course, you have more time for your family. You have the ability, of course, to be there when the kids come home from school. It's just a wonderful way. Less stress, of course, because if a child is sick, you don't have to, run to the school, take off work, go get them. You're right there at home. You can be there with them and take care of them there at home. Then there's opportunities for professional growth. you always have the ability as your own boss, of course, to continually reach out in the community and find other people to connect with and to grow personally and professionally in your own business. And then last but not least, increase productivity. Folks, I can't tell you how many hours people spend in meetings that are just a waste of time.
Right.
So in your own home, you at least can just waste time going to the refrigerator and back. You know, that's one of the drawbacks. Actually, it's a little bit too close. I found this quote too, Eric, that I thought was great. By working faithfully 8 hours a day, you may eventually get to be a boss and work 12 hours a day.
Yep,
But you know,
you
Eric, I don't know about you. You and I probably put in more hours than we do working for any other person, right? Because we're basically self-employed.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you do, because I mean, you've got ownership, and you certainly want to. It's really what this next slide is all about. We get creative ideas, and our jobs are not really jobs anymore. It's just kind of fun because we get to develop webinars, or we get to talk about new ideas or new services that we can add to the licensees, and then the work that goes back behind all of that. So yeah, it does. Next, you put in maybe 7-8 hours, and you go, wow, this is I'm not. I wish I had a little bit more time, but then you can break away at any time you wanted to.
Right. Now let's talk about the advantages of our opportunity, the ABS opportunity itself, folks. It starts with no franchise fees. I mentioned that earlier, but folks, that's pretty important that you realize there are no ongoing fees of any kind, no hidden fees. Now let that sink in for a moment. No hidden fees. That's important that you understand there are no ongoing fees. You know why? Because there are companies that do something similar to what we do that have hidden fees. I call them hidden because they don't bring them up when they're first talking to you. For example, ask them after the first year or two or whatever it is that they say they give you support, what are the ongoing support fees yearly? Folks, those can be thousands of dollars. Over the next 10 years, you could spend another $15,000 just on support fees alone. How about training? If I need extra training, are there fees for that? There's all kinds of hidden fees that we do not have. And then there's no territory restrictions. Eric, our territory is pretty simple, right? We illustrated it there with this slide that shows basically the whole United States. Now, somebody did ask that question, by the way. I think it's Jamila says, can you do billing out of state that you live in? If so, does your license allow you to do it out of state? Yes. We have licensees who have clients in several states, don't we, Eric?
Yep, all over the country. Yep.
Yeah. And then look at the number of potential clients that you have. Now, I know this is tiny, but folks, download the handout. Isn't that already over there, Eric? Yes. In the handout section of GoToWebinar, you'll find a PDF of all of these slides. Blow that one up so you can read it, and you'll see that those are all the different specialties that you can offer billing to. There are dozens, as you can see, of medical specialties out there. You can do billing for everybody there who is now doing billing on what's called the HCFA 1500 form. It's basically a form, well, now it's called the CMS, isn't it? CMS 1500 form. So it's a very standard form the government came up with. If they're doing billing on that, you can do billing for them. Then there's no ongoing yeah, sorry.
Go ahead. I was going to kind of jump forward to here because you kind of dealt with the fees or ongoing fees there, but Maritas, I hope that I've got your name pronounced right, and we're getting ready to talk about the practice management system right now. Practice management system is the question. Being used by physicians already have attached medical billing and coding in it. What would be the reason that providers will outsource, especially if they already have their office managers? We're going to answer that question right now. So Patrick, let's just jump in here because we got about 20 minutes left of the webinar, and we've got several slides to try to still get through.
Okay.
So I was handing it off to you.
Well, there you go. This is our cloud-based system that you're looking at illustrated here, folks. It can be used on any computer system, any platform, any browser, as long as you can log in on a website, like at your bank, for example. You can log in and actually do billing right from your computer, no matter where it's at. As long as you have an internet connection, folks, you could be on the beach in Hawaii. As long as they have Wi-Fi there, you could actually run your business from there. And we've had licensees do that too. So it's great because it is completely cloud-based. That is, there's no software that has to be installed on your computer. You could literally, folks, go down to Best Buy, well, once Best Buy is open again,
Yes.
and buy a laptop, take it to a McDonald's, hook up to the Wi-Fi, and log in and run your business from there. There's nothing that has to be installed on your computer. That is a huge advantage over software that comes on a CD. If you're talking to a company, ask them, now, when I get the software, how will I get it? They'll tell you, we'll ship you a CD. Yeah, and you install it on your computer hard drive. That is dangerous. Okay, so did I cover everything that you meant to there, Eric?
I was going to say, Judith is asking the question now and says, I'm sold on the home-based business. She goes, I do insurance, health insurance from home. My concern is maybe having to know the medical codes for billing. What has been the most successful business look like starting? I think to start answering that question here, Patrick, let's start talking about the potential earnings, and then we'll kind of move into, you know, the question there that Judith has concerning codes, because again, Judith, you're going to find out that one of the services that we actually have is a coding service. So it's not that you have to know codes. We've got that resolved because of the service that we have there for you.
Yeah. Okay, so folks, here's the disclaimer. Just like those weight loss ads say that not everybody, who takes this product is going to lose 100 pounds in the first month. This is true of potential earnings. We say potential because, of course, it's up to how much time and effort you put into it. A person who's working this full-time will probably make more money than somebody working it part-time. But Eric, we've had people make six-figure incomes in this business. We're going to show you how that comes about. Now, on our website, if you go to the website, absystems.com, you'll see that there is up at the top a medical income calculator. And here's the screenshot of that. We've actually plugged in here 5 doctors because we're assuming that you want to get to the point where you're at least full-time, right? And Eric, until somebody has at least 5 average doctors, they're not going to be wanting to hire anybody probably. So one person could do 5 doctors seeing 20 patients a day, 5 days a week. And at the average that our licensees charge of about 7% on a standard fee of $150 for a doctor's visit. You'll see on the next screen there that what you could earn once we submit that is $22,000 and $748 average monthly gross income. Now, folks, that means that you'll have some expenses, of course, to run your business. You're not going to net that each month, but still, for most people, that's a good goal to work towards. Let's say that your overhead was even 20% of that. You'd be making 80% of that, which would be, I don't know, a lot. $16,000, $17,000. In a year's time, folks, that's $273,000. Now, if that's too big a thinking for you, think smaller. But folks, 5 doctors, a handful of doctors is all it takes to make a good, solid income in this business. And by the way, that's only servicing 5 offices with 1 doctor in each office. We have licensees that have signed up groups of, one of them signed up 85 doctors in one group, Eric. So we know that licensees are making more than $273,000 a year.
Correct, yeah. And then, we were kind of getting into, again, as what Judith was asking about the codes and how does all this work. Not only are you going to become certified as a medical revenue manager, but you actually become a part of this growing association, which is called the Medical Revenue Managers Association of America. And it truly is growing by leaps and bounds because this is all of our licensees and we're all a part of it. And we do special webinars for you. We call them called Done For You webinars, which we're going to be doing some of those pretty soon for telehealth medicine, just for our licensees, only for our licensees. They'll be inviting their folks to these webinars. But that's all a part of this one organization here called MIRMA.
Yeah, I'm going to put that in the, I think this will appear in the question box. I just put the link to their website there if you want to check them out, folks. This is headed up by Dr. Vicki Ragnar, and it has a lot of other people on the board of this organization. And so when you get certified, you're certified by a group of people who basically are leaders in this industry. Now, folks, when we say we train you as a medical revenue manager, this flyer that we've come out with called the Revenue Cycle Management is a flyer that you'll be able to use in your marketing that tells the doctor that not only do you do the billing for the doctor, but you manage every aspect of their revenue cycle. The revenue cycle looks like this, and it includes everything that you will be able to help the doctor with. By doing that, folks, you position yourself way above any of the competition in your area. Nobody offers all the different services that you'll be able to offer in your area. Plus, the software is different. Eric, you want to tell them about the difference?
Yeah, you bet. I mean, this is what other systems look like. Again, and this kind of goes back again to Judah's question, because the system actually does the coding for you. Now, we're looking at a system that is one that is a server-based type system. And when you have a server-based type system and you're not actually running everything from the cloud, I actually had an article in the webinar talking about this whole COVID-19 being a great opportunity that had cloud capabilities, because everybody's going to the cloud. And so now, because everybody is having to stay home, imagine a doctor's office that cannot get to their office right now, and all of their patient records are at the office. And so when you've got that issue, then you're kind of get locked down into you got to be close to that computer. But with this, you also have to have what's called an outside clearinghouse. That outside clearinghouse will then take those claims that you process out of the software, get it prepared to ship out to these insurance companies. This is the typical thing here. Now, with this typical scenario, you're going to find out that it's going to take a little bit longer for these claims to actually reach the insurance company. Now, with our system, the iClaim system, it's already inside there. That clearinghouse that you were looking at is already inside of our platform. So what we've been able to do, we've taken what was typically outside of the system, we've brought it inside of the system, so that now when we ship out claims, we're actually shipping out claims directly to the insurance company, speeding up the process of getting the claims processed. We've got less rejection rates that we have because we're doing so many things on the front end. And again, going back to Judah's question there, the system is actually properly coding it because that's just what the system does. It works all inside there. And obviously, it's got all its certifications for HIPAA compliancy as well.
It has real-time reporting built into it too, folks, which is important for the doctor because they can see at any time. You can give them access to the system so they can see at any moment in time exactly where their money is, how much has been paid, what's due to them, what's overdue. All of that's reporting is built into our system so that you can make the doctor feel very comfortable that they don't have to just be blind and trust their billing company to provide it. They can see it in real time themselves in our system.
Yeah, and what we're about to show you right now is just, again, screenshots. And so let me say this before we get started with this. If you haven't seen a live demonstration of the software, please get back with the person who invited you to the webinar. Yeah. They will take you on a tour of this live. But what we're going to show you here, that capability of having our own clearinghouse allows us to do real-time eligibility verification. By clicking that button right there, we get inside of the verification area. We get to check with the payer of that patient, run that, and once we've got all that information back, then it comes directly back into the system like this, allowing you to populate the patient's name, their address, their phone number, all from this internally. So imagine not having to type someone's first name and last name and their street address and their phone number all inside there. All of this now gets pre-populated inside there. You talk about reducing the possibilities of claims being rejected simply because you're putting it directly into the system from the insurance company. So there's another advantage of our system outside of a doctor's office using somebody else's practice management system.
Yep. Somebody asked here, Jamila's asking, how do you hire another person once you have more than 5 doctors? Well, that's part of our training, of course, Jamila. We actually go through that in detail, how to find those people. They're out there, believe me, and with one simple little trick that we teach you, you can find all those people, have all the resumes you wish faxed into you, emailed to you, so that you can find those people. Again, since it's all virtual and in the cloud, you can teach those people how to log into the system and teach them the system without ever having to get together with them personally. It could all be done over the internet. That's what's great about our cloud-based system.
Yep. Absolutely. And then Patrick, we've already talked about the telehealth medicine, the new service we have there. We're not going to have time to go through all of these other services that we have, but not only do we have the services, we have all the marketing pieces for all of the services. You want to kind of just show, share, what we need to share about that on here?
Yeah, folks, we've spent over $100,000 ourselves developing what you're seeing here on the screen. We've actually developed books that you can put your name on the front of and be associated with a doctor, which gives you huge credibility. We've got an online card system that sends out cards to stay in contact with your prospective doctors and helps you automatically market to them. We've got the flyers that you see there, of course, and the professional presentation folders. All of this has been developed, folks, over the past 26 years. And believe me, even though our license fee is only $27,990, you could spend a lot more than $28,000 developing this on your own. That's all a part of our system. And then you have the other income streams that are available from all of those different services that those flyers talk about. I think we've got a few slides there that just show the cards. It's a full colored card that's actually sent by mail, and it's all done online though. You have a choice of all the cards that are available. You can pick those out yourself, push a button, boom, they're mailed directly to you. We have built-in campaigns that are already designed for our licensees that you don't have to design. We've got them designed, and they'll automatically send out cards every 30 days to your prospects to keep in contact with them. I mentioned the book earlier. Eric, we've got a book there that has somebody's name on the front of it there. Your name can be right there on the front of the book with mine and with Dr. Vicki Ragnar. We both wrote this book, and you're able to use this as a calling card, a business card for your business, because your contact information is also printed inside the book.
So Patrick, we're getting close to the top of the hour. We got about a few minutes before we're at right about 5 minutes before we shut down, but I want to make sure we get all the questions in, because let's get ready to kind of go towards the end, because I know you want to kind of walk people through what maybe their next steps here. But William says here, thanks for being, introducing us to this, and you've already answered the question about how much does it cost to get started. And William, whether you have a background in coding or accounting, you don't necessarily need that experience.
No.
And then Judith is asking again about, I'm also concerned about the back end, because I have work server enterprise apps where updates and version of the software need to be updated for HIPAA compliance. The CD is installed, but how do we get the updates from another charge for that? The great thing about it, Judith, is we don't give our let me go back over here just real quickly to our platform. Our platform, again, is 100% web-based. There's nothing to load on your computer. Patrick mentioned that earlier, that you can go buy a brand new computer. You don't have to load any software on it. If and when there are updates for the software for HIPAA compliancy or anything else, that's done back behind the scenes there. So think of this as strictly a cloud-based system, software as a service. Anytime there's updates to codes, to HIPAA compliancy, anything like that, every time you log in, you're logging into the very latest version without you ever having to load anything on your computer.
Yeah, and there's no charges for that, Judith. We never charge for updates to our software, because that's a part of making sure that our system is always the best that's out there for you to offer to the doctors for them to use as well. So those updates are just automatic. I mentioned earlier a CD. Now that's not ours, of course. Ours doesn't have any software that's installed on your computer. It's all cloud-based, which means it's already a software as a service. It's served to you as you need it by just logging in, just like you do at your bank for doing banking.
Exactly.
Let's see. Anthony says, are the campaigns for licensees at an extra cost? No, Anthony, I don't know how to convey this to people because they find it hard to believe, but we don't charge for any new marketing materials that are developed. Now, if you want to order some books, for example, of course, you'll have to pay for those at our printing cost. Those campaigns are all added to our licensees' accounts automatically at no extra cost. There are no hidden fees at all, as I mentioned earlier.
Let's see. Let's grab one, two more of these questions, and then we'll kind of start wrapping things up here. Anthony's also asking, let's see, the campaigns for getting new doctors. That's all. Yep, that's all included. Maria, I realize individual results can vary, and there are so many variables, but do you have an average break-even point on investment in terms of time? We actually have a webinar on that we show what's called your ROI. Patrick, maybe we might want to be thinking about doing that here in the near future, that we kind of talk about what it takes to get back to what people think of a break-even point. But Maria, what we see is with a break-even point with one doctor gets not only your return on your investment back within 1 year, but you're actually ahead of the game. Now, we also know that that's how quickly it can also, how quickly can you get that doctor? Again, now with the new services, with the telehealth, now we're seeing people get in front of doctors even quicker right now. So it's just a matter of time. It really is.
You're right, though, Maria. It is an independent thing, depending on, again, a person, their abilities to connect, to follow instructions. Our proven system for the past 26 years has helped licensees get clients from all imaginable backgrounds, but it always depends on how much time and effort you as an individual put into it, of course.
We have on the licensee support site, because this kind of goes with the question right now, are there continuing fees to attend webinars once you become a licensee or a certified medical revenue manager? Let's talk about the licensee support site, and then we'll kind of let you do a wrap up here.
Yeah, folks, as you can see from the list there to the right, there's over 300 business documents that we've spent a lot of money developing along with attorneys and so forth. All the agreements and contracts that you need are already developed. All the marketing materials are there. There's over 100 hours of in-depth training that's already posted on our website. Again, there's no charge for this, folks, ever, because we make money on the back end, on the services that you're offering to doctors. We're making a few pennies on each of the transactions. So that covers our cost on these. That way we never have to charge you for all of this. There's interviews with successful owners. There's weekly industry updates on here, ongoing training webinars. We do those usually on Fridays for our licensees, and we record those and post those on this site as well. And of course, you have access to the physician partner, Dr. Vicki Ragnar, on this site as well, and personalized books by her. So all that's available, folks. Again, we've never charged for that. At one time, we did have a renewal fee for support after the first year. Then we extended that to 2 years. And at one point, I said, look, let's just give them support. As long as they're out there doing business, we're making money. Why would we charge them for that? So that's our model for today, folks.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, well, the first thing you need to do is get our research guide. Now, I think I have it right here, Eric. I set that aside just to show people because we had one actually in print, of course, but it's a digital book that you can order. As you can see, there's about 50 pages of information in this that you won't find on any of our websites. So be sure and get back with the person who invited you to this website and ask them for the research guide. That's what this is called, the Medical Revenue Management there it is, research guide. Then number 2, browse our YouTube channel. It's at youtube.com/whyabs. Folks, you'll find over 100 interviews with some of our successful licensees from coast to coast on there, as well as all of our previous webinars that we've posted here over the years. Then ask your ABS rep for an owner reference list. That's a list of all the people that have agreed. Once they've completed our training, they agree to take some phone calls from people like yourself who are doing your due diligence. Ask them the questions that you've asked us and see if they don't tell you the facts about the business. Then ask for that live demo that Eric mentioned earlier. We'll give you a demo, a walkthrough one-on-one with you on our platform so you can see it, ask all the questions you want. Since it doesn't come on a CD, we can't ship it to you. We do this live demo for you, and you'll get a feel for what we do for your prospects as well. And then get your first training session locked in for our live training. Folks, we actually do a live training with a real live person. That's right, we have a person who has been certified as an instructor for us that goes through step by step. You'll be interfacing with that person one-on-one, just like that next slide shows there, and be able to ask questions live. You can have as many people on that training as you wish along with you. And but those slots for the training fill up very quickly, folks, and we have a limited number of those, as you can imagine, for people signing up for the training. So all you need to do is get back with the person who sent you this email and say, I want to get my first training session locked in. Do that, and then you'll be able to work with that instructor to line up all your other training sessions according to your schedule. It's based on your own schedule. Folks, we're the only company that I know of that does a 100% money back guarantee, so be sure and ask about that from your rep as well. And that means that we will give you your money back if you don't like what you see there.
Patrick, I think that's about it today.
Yeah, folks, as you can see, we don't do a lot of selling on this. We figure that you are an adult. You can do your own due diligence. You can ask your own questions directly to us via email or phone. Just let us know what we can do to supply what you need to decide if this is right for you. We hope we see you next week on next week's webinar. Eric, thanks for putting all this together today.
You bet. Thank you so much, Patrick. Y'all have a great afternoon.